Our next speaker is Marc Aixalà. Marc Aixalà is a telecommunications engineer and psychologist with training in the therapeutic use of non-ordinary states of Okay. Well, we're still getting switched over on the mic, so 1 second. Beginning of the day. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It needs to be a little bit louder. Still louder? How about this? Okay, is that better? Okay, great. Okay, so one more time. So Marc Aixalà is a telecommunications engineer and psychologist with the training in the therapeutic use of non-ordinary states of consciousness and MDMA-assisted psychotherapy for PTSD by MAPS. Marc coordinates the ICER's supportive service and offers the integration psychotherapy sessions for people in challenging situations after experiences in non-ordinary states of consciousness. And if he's got his microphone ready to go, oh, not quite yet.
Yeah. Here is okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, please welcome to the stage Marc Aixalà. Thank you.
Thank you. How do I switch the slides? Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I know that Stangrove is speaking somewhere else, so I really appreciate everyone coming here. This presentation is going to have 3 parts. In the first part, I'm going to be presenting the integration and support service from the ICES Foundation. Then I'm going to share some thoughts on integration, and then I'm going to talk about some practices in the psychotherapeutic interventions that we do at ICES. So when the presentation is ready, I'm going to start. The ICES Foundation is a non-profit that Ben Delone created in the Netherlands, but we have the central in Barcelona, in Spain. And we've been working for some years now. The first time that we created the integration and support service was in 2013. So we've been doing this work for 4 years now, and we're happy to. I'm going to be presenting some data that we've collected, which is something that we started doing a couple of years ago, and that's been really, really interesting to gather data of the requests that people were sending to us. No, I send it as requested, but I do have a USB. No. Yeah. But in the email they sent me, they told me that it was okay to send the keynote. They said it was okay to send the keynote.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yes. I guess there are better ways to start, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read you an email that I received that should be appearing here, but since it's not, I'm going to read for you. So I get to my office Monday morning and get something like this. It says, "Hi, I really hope that you can help me in some way because I feel that I've returned from Peru worse than I went when I was before. I had a heartbreaking experience at the ayahuasca retreat. I went to heal my depression." Yeah? No? Is that better now? Okay. So it says, "I have returned from Peru worse than I was when I went. I had a heartbreaking experience at the ayahuasca retreat. I went to heal my depression. I became suicidal in Peru and could not cope with what was going on. And I didn't feel supported by the staff at the center that I went to. I have returned to my life in England, and I'm sinking back deeper into depression. I'm losing hope that I can ever change my life, and I'm not far from suicidal thoughts. I cannot cope. Another email that we received says, "Hello, Mark. I have this girl in therapy who is planning to attend an ayahuasca retreat. If I'm honest, I don't know what ayahuasca is about, so I told the girl that better wait because these things can make things worse. So I'm writing to you if you can give me some advice on what to tell her." Another email that we received. "Hello. My daughter attended an ayahuasca retreat. She returned home on the May 17th with a psychotic episode. She has been in psychiatric hospitals since the 18th of May. She's taking antipsychotic medication and is showing signs of improvement, but she remains irrational in her thinking. I'm worried about her care when she leaves the hospital. A part of me wants to stay away from any psychiatrist who is in favor of ayahuasca, but I do not understand how ayahuasca works, and I think she will need the help of someone who knows and understands the subject. Can you give me some advice?" So these cases are not very, very frequent, but they do happen. We receive a lot of requests. We started receiving requests at the email at iSearch, and this is why we decided to create the support service. Any news from the presentation? I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I do have my computer here if you want. But yeah. I don't know. Okay, so I'm sorry that I cannot show you the results, but I'm going to tell you what happened when we started collecting data in 2015. So after 1 year of receiving emails and answering the emails, we decided to check what was the main things that people were asking for us. And in 2015, 20% of the requests were for integration support. So was specifically people that they wanted to integrate experiences because they had adverse effects or because they wanted to maximize the benefits. The second main request that we had was, where do I go to drink ayahuasca? This is a question that people ask a lot, I want to drink ayahuasca, but where do I go? And the third question was like general information on iboga, general information on ayahuasca. These are the main issues that people were concerned about. And so that year, what we decided to do is to update the website, add some more information regarding how to choose a center, which practices we considered that were helpful in order to safely take ayahuasca. And that was interesting because the next year we did not receive that many requests from where do I take ayahuasca. But the number one request was still integration. Like, I've had a difficult experience, how do I do to integrate the experience? Number two request was adverse effects. People reporting adverse effects after drinking ayahuasca. And a whole lot new questions appeared, like questions regarding the applications of ayahuasca and iboga to heal physical illnesses. So the focus was not so much on psychological issues, but also on physical issues. Yeah. So when talking about integration, I like to, here we go. Thank you. So that is 2015. You can see the integration requests here and information about retreat centers. Okay. Okay, and this is the comparison between year 2015 and 2016. So as you can see, that this was the evolution that I was telling you about, the changes in the requests. You can see how the request for the centers dropped. That's the second blue column, and how we had to add a whole new category of requests having to do with psilocybin, physical issues, and ayahuasca. So this is the evolution of the data we're collecting. The way that we are doing that is not a very professional thing. It's me checking the emails, looking which subjects people ask. So this research is not, for those of you that are researchers, bear with me, I'm a clinician, so it's more an observational thing. So these are the things that people started asking us afterwards. Okay, so when we talk about integration, I think that integration is a word that we use a lot in the psychedelic community, but if we start digging into what we mean by that, that is not so clear. You know, we say that we need integration, but what is integration? So I like to imagine integration as a part of the assistance that we do in a psychedelic process. So it's important to have preparation, it's important to have a good session, it's important to have integration. And I think that we need to understand that integration interventions is different than psychotherapy. So in these 4 different levels of assistance, maybe we need different professionals. If you want to have an ayahuasca experience, maybe you go to a shaman, and the therapist that does the preparation is not the same person that is going to offer you the session. Yeah, so different levels of assistance require different trainings, different professionals, and sometimes we think that we need to know it all, and I'm pretty comfortable working in the preparation, integration, and psychotherapy, you know, and let the specialist, the surgeon, do the intervention. So yeah, integration. What is integration? So the idea, or the difficult thing about integration is that we never know what the result of integration is going to be. We have an experience, we say, okay, we need to bring the experience back to our daily life, it needs to show some results, but we never know what is going to happen. So the idea of integration is that from something that we don't know what it is, something will appear, but that's still a mystery. So that's the beauty of integration practices. I like to offer a metaphor for integration. This is a pretty basic one, but what I like about this picture is that, okay, we have a psychedelic experience, we need to integrate that into our daily life, but the way in which we do that is by, you see this piece of the puzzle, we need to reshape the puzzle, but we also need to reshape the original framework. So we integrate one experience into our previous framework, and both things need to be worked on in order to make sense, in order to really integrate, otherwise we'll be adding things to the same framework we had before. And I like to understand integration in different dimensions. So from the spiritual realms all the way to behavior. I think that integration has all these many manifestations through thoughts, emotions, physical body, and also behavior and spirit. And sometimes therapies can neglect some of those aspects. Sometimes we focus a lot on the spiritual, sometimes we focus a lot on behavior, but there's a whole range of things that need to be worked on in integration in order to do an integrative therapy, which is the objective, I'd say. And since this talk, so one cannot get used to good things. So integration can be seen in 2 big categories. Integration to maximize the benefit of a psychedelic experience, and integration to decrease the challenges that appear after a difficult experience. Yeah? And the kind of interventions then can be similar, but it's a different approach. I'd say if you want to maximize benefits, if you don't do anything, the worst thing that can happen is that the psychedelic experience has no use. You know, it just fades, but you don't have any problems after the experience. But if you're experiencing challenging effects after an experience, that's a different kind of intervention. So I'm going to talk about the second category, which is the one that I'm more used to, the people that experience difficult symptoms after a challenging experience with ayahuasca or any other substance. And when is it more likely to happen? First of all, when there's a lack of preparation. Nowadays, ayahuasca and other substances, they are very globalized, so a lot of people are using them, and a lot of people don't really know what they are going to experience. Ayahuasca usually is advertised as medicine, so when you take a medicine, what you expect is to heal. You know, so if you take a medicine and something goes wrong, then you can think, okay, I've taken a medicine, so then there's something wrong with me. You know, so we blame ourselves when things don't go the way that we were expecting. Some people don't really know which kind of settings are in the psychedelic use. And it's important that the setting of a session is very clear. If it's not clear, it can lead to confusions and problems during the experience and afterwards. Also, we know that when we have a traumatic experience, we can experience challenges afterwards. You know, we can experience unpleasant symptoms after the experience. And when there are problems with facilitators or therapists, when there are power abuses, sexual abuses, money abuses, all these issues can be really, really powerful in terms of difficulties in integration of the experience, because personal dynamics get mixed with the personal issues. And when there's a previous mental condition, that's also a challenging situation. When we have a difficult experience, what happens is that we can get stuck through a lens. It's like we've had a challenging experience and we perceive the world afterwards through that lens. I don't know if you know this story of Jean-Paul Sartre. He had a mescaline experience that apparently went really, really bad. In Groff's terminology, he went to the second perinatal matrix, no exit, nothing to do, like total depression. And it seems that he got stuck in this experience, and that was bad for him, but good for the rest of the humanity. So he wrote books like The Nausea and all his existentialist psychology. But it seems that it came from a non-integrated psychedelic experience. So it's important, yeah. Sometimes with ayahuasca especially, there can be a dissociation during the experience. And then when people have these kind of experiences, what happens afterwards is that people, they don't complain about the content of the experience that they've had, they complain about the symptoms that they are experiencing after the experience. And this is an example of the symptoms that people report. And if you look at this, it's very similar to what in the DSM they call the acute stress disorder. Yeah, so people with challenging experiences, they can run into acute stress disorder. And then if it gets chronified, it's PTSD, which we've probably heard about that. So a lot of people come to ask for integration sessions in this stage, in acute stress disorder. And the kind of intervention here is, okay, one could be compelled to work with the content of the experience and to try to work with the deeper unconscious material. But these people suffer a lot. They cannot sleep alone. They have panic attacks. They are having high anxiety. They are afraid of leaving home. So, yeah, that needs to be dealt quite fast, actually. Yeah. Sometimes we can go from one experience after the other experience, and in a way we lose track. You know, it's like, okay, it seems that we know where we're going, but after 3 experiences, that is not clear anymore. And this happens quite a lot. Some people maybe go to drink ayahuasca because they drink ayahuasca because they have phobia to cats, and in the first session you deal with the phobia of the cat, but 6 months down the line and 20 sessions afterwards, you're dealing with something else. So you can lose track of what was your objective. And as a therapist and as an engineer, my goal is that things work. You know, so if things don't work, they are not working. So when people come and say, no, I wanted to heal my depression, and now I'm dealing with these energies and entities and all that, it's like, okay, let's reevaluate if this is what you were aiming for. So I'm going to propose, a model of intervention and integration. On the one hand, we have the concept of deep psychotherapy, like in Gestalt or transpersonal psychology, Jungian analysis, psychoanalysis, in which we understand that the psyche is a huge thing, that there are many more things that we can observe. We have an unconscious, there are the personal unconscious, the collective unconscious, the archetypes. So the psyche is like a huge, huge thing. And then the assumption or the idea is that we are driven by forces that are way, way bigger than we are. And yeah, anyone that has done a psychedelic knows that this is true. You know, there's much more in the psyche than we see. And in the depths, we can find archetypes, we can find the shadow, the anima, strange creatures from the deep oceans. And as therapists, then, if you're dealing with someone having a challenging experience after such a psychedelic experience, you can find yourself fighting those deep creatures of the deep oceans. And sometimes we can get too used to this. It's like one gets used to deal with finding the root causes, dealing with the archetypal, dealing with the deep, trying to find the core of what is going on. And sometimes this makes us lose track of the situation in the outside world of the person. Or we can end up doing like, I think it was Jung that said that Freud was trying to analyze the depth of the psyche, like the depth of the ocean of the psyche, while he himself was standing on a whale without knowing that, So, yeah, if the psyche is that big, we as therapists, we are human, so we are bound also on the knowledge of this. So pretending to be able to work with such things sometimes can be misleading, and we can end up like this little doctor here trying to give some advice to the explorer. Yeah. And then again, the focus of the depth is going to depend on the school that you belong to. So if you're a Freudian, the depth is going to be in childhood, so you're going to want to look at childhood. Yeah. This is another email that we received. This was a woman that contacted us. I did a couple of sessions with her, and 1 year afterwards, she wrote me back saying what she says, that she cannot really talk about the ayahuasca experience. She's afraid of talking about that. But the therapist that wants to do a deep therapy is focusing on childhood, which I then find a very meaningful topic. Yeah. So, on the other hand, we have what I call shallow psychotherapy. Let's focus only on the symptoms. Let's only pay attention to what is going on. Let's not look on the depth, because that is useless. Yeah. Yeah. These are all good suggestions, right? I mean, if we would be doing this, they would work. But, no, seriously. But if we're not doing this, it's because it's not that easy. Yeah? Like, I found this, I liked it. The thing is that we always have good reasons to do what we're doing. The symptoms, they have a function, so it's important to be aware with that. So then I think that any integration psychotherapy should focus on both worlds. How is the surface? How is the daily life of the person? How destabilizing are the symptoms that the person is feeling? But also have a knowledge, or consider that there are also depths that need to be worked on. So if we only focus on the depths, maybe we can end up like the boat, not paying attention to the wind, and the ship goes to the depths of this dragon. So we need to balance the way in which we interact with our clients. And this is another metaphor that I like. Instead of focusing on working either on the surface or either on the depth, I think what integration psychotherapy needs to do is to become this oxygen hose, to make the connection between the surface and the depth, and keep this line of connection. This is what is going to allow the client to work to the depths, but also to have a stable life so they can manage, because otherwise the symptoms can be very, very destabilizing. Another metaphor here. As therapists, I think that we can set like a safe base and throw a line to the depths so the person can do their own journey. We can just make a safe space for the person to do the inner work. And yeah, I could discuss a couple of cases, but I'm going to just show you some drawings of clients that I've had after an MDMA session that became difficult. Yeah. Here you have the contact of the ISER Foundation. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, do we have 3 minutes for questions?
If you have a question, you can use the microphone in the aisles.
I'm just wondering if you, I'm wondering of other models besides talk therapy for integration that might be helpful, especially with acute stress disorder, things like...
Could you speak slower, please?
Yeah. I'm wondering if you at ICEERS have experience working with alternative forms of integration therapy that aren't necessarily isolated to talk therapy, such as working in gardens, being in nature, different kinds of things to kind of get us out of our head and connect.
Yeah, actually, I'm trained in holotropic breathwork. I do holotropic breathwork workshops, and one of the tools that I use for integration is holotropic breathwork. It seems a good technique to go again into an unordinary state of consciousness in a safe setting, and it allows the person to work through the nonverbal aspects of the experience. And for me, that works pretty well. Yeah, thank you. One more?
Yeah, I'm wondering if, along those lines, are you doing much dream work with clients, and what role do dreams perhaps play in this integrative process?
Yeah, truth is that I don't do a lot of dream work, but if a client brings a dream to therapy, we work with that as it would be the content of a holotropic breathwork session, you know. I'm not specifically trained in dream work, but if I was more trained, I would use that also. So I think it's a good access to the unconscious also, so yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That was kind of challenging. So, yeah.